The name of this CNN video pretty much says it all for anybody looking for comic relief in the midst of this Federal Reserve initiated economic terrorism that they're trying to pass off as a global pandemic. How Facebook is combating the spread of CV-19 misinformation. And the title, ironically, comes from the most trusted name in fake news, the Counterfeit News Network. This is about as hysterical as titling something, How Disney is Combating the Spread of Pedophile-Inspired Satanic Black Magic, or how cigarette companies are combating the spread of lung cancer. So from the get-go, we can't even take it seriously. Then we get to frame one, where Zuckerberg is clearly taking his how to pretend to be human lessons out for a nationwide test drive. To add insult to propagandized injury, Zark is talking to CIA intern Anderson Cooper, descendant of the illustrious Vanderbilts, and Sanjay, I've read this script before in my movie Contagion, Gupta. The cast of disingenuous characters in this short psychological operations segment couldn't say to the audience, we take you for a bunch of moronic idiots, any more clearly. The social engineers surely must be engaged in a hearty laugh fest in their big club as they drink their cognac and smoke their Black Dragon cigars. Let's take a listen to some of this nonsense built on the fabricated fairy tale of the Johns Hopkins, Big Pharma infused, fear porn Federal Reserve empowered Hegelian psyop.
Mark, I saw something I think that you're going to do at Facebook. That I think you made an announcement that you're not going to have any meetings of more than a certain number of people until 2021. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. So as part of the staggered reopening of society, it's not just going to be that some locations open before others. It's going to need to be that some functions and some jobs can get done, and others we just wait longer to bring back online. And I think...
Wait a minute, who is this guy? And where did he get the authority to be able to set national economic policy? Let me get this straight. A Silicon Valley billionaire has the authority to tell you and me when we can bring our businesses back online? And nobody over at CNN is going to question Mr. Potato Head about this? Of course they're not.
Large events are probably going to be the last thing, or at least one of the last things that comes back online. So
neither Gil Bates nor Mother Zuckerberg still want people gathering in large groups. If that doesn't spell control freak, nothing does.
We've gone ahead and made the policy call now that through June of 2021, next year, we're not going to host any internal or external physical events that have 50 or more people in them.
Why? Because that's the magic number. And why is that the magic number? Because they say it is. And why are they doing this? Because it's their job to continue scaring the crap out of people for no freaking reason. Well, there is a reason, but it doesn't work for your benefit.
But I do think that large events, people going to sports events, movie theaters, things like that, are probably going to be one of the last things that comes online as part of this reopening.
I'm curious, when you think about...
You got to admit, that was kind of a strange look to the left. Kind of like, hey, Chen, did I say the right thing there? Now listen to Contagion star, resident CNN medical commentator, Sanjay Gupta.
I'm curious, when you think about providing accurate knowledge to people, or helping do that, or at least not letting them get bad knowledge.
Wait, not letting them get bad knowledge? Can we please just call it what it is? It's censorship. And by the way, who became the arbiter of good or bad knowledge anyway? Yeah, just put it out of your mind and stop thinking about it. There's no way anything could possibly go wrong when the Silicon Valley knuckleheads get to become gatekeepers for what is or isn't good or bad knowage.
This is a story where we've learned a lot along the way. I mean, the knowledge has sort of changed. How communicable it is, how lethal it is, how it's spreading. Should you wear masks? Should you not wear masks? All these types of things. When there's a lot of information out there, sometimes there's a lot of bad information as well. How do you approach
The knowledge has sort of changed.
Did you guys hear what Gupta just said? The knowledge has sort of changed. Well, actually, Sanjay, no, it hasn't. Here's what's actually happened. You guys have started walking back some of your outlandish statements that started with the World Health Organization lie that the case fatality rate of CV-19 was 3.4%. Then Fauci changed it to 1%, then to 10 times more deadly than the regular seasonal flu, and then Fauci changed it again in the New England Journal of Medicine on March 26th to a mortality rate of 0.1%, which happens to be the same as the flu. Then the Communist News Network's Fareed Zakaria came out and said that not even 40,000 people would die of CV-19, which makes the mortality rate of the seasonal flu way more deadly than CV-19. And that's exactly what we in the alternative media space have been saying all along. So it's not that knowledge has sort of changed, Mr. Star of Contagion, with the same script you're using today as you did in the movie. It's that you've been called on your BS and you have to back off to save face. You bunch of morons.
Thinking about that to make sure that the right knowledge, at least what we know at the time, is what's getting out there.
Yeah, so I think one of the most important functions that Facebook and our apps can do right now is help connect people with authoritative health information and experts.
Oh, experts, like the World Health Organization, who's led by Tedros Ghebreyesus, who is the number 3 guy in the U.S. State Department identified terrorist organization called Tigray People's Liberation Front, a group that led to more than a decade of conflict and is claimed to be, quote, ultimately responsible for all the corruption, killings, torture, mass detention, and land grab or displacement in Ethiopia. Or experts from the for-profit Big Pharma manipulated CDC. Or maybe he's talking about experts like Anthony Fauci or Deborah Birx, who've been beneficiaries of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. You mean those experts?
And at the same time to limit the spread of misinformation. So on the work that we're doing to connect people with authoritative health information, we've actually directed more than 2 billion people to this COVID-19 information center that we built, that we put at the top of the Facebook app for everyone, and through these educational pop-ups that we've put throughout the product. If you go search for information or if you show up in a group, for example. And of the 2 billion people that we've shown that to, more than 350 million people have clicked through and spent some time on the COVID Information Center. So
now you know why so many people are on the same page with regard to CV-19 and being hoodwinked by fake book misinformation pop-up campaigns. 350 million people is a lot of people being misinformed by the giants of Silicon Valley.
That is valuable. It's showing information from health experts, from local government officials. It's high quality content. Equally important is making sure that we limit the spread of misinformation. And there are 2 basic policies that we have. One is if someone's spreading something that puts people at imminent risk of physical harm.
Oh, you mean like telling people that the USS Maddox was fired upon by North Vietnamese torpedo boats, which never happened, but was propagated by the mainstream media in order to justify a long, costly, and deadly Vietnam War, which cost the lives of 58,000 soldiers and around 3 million civilians? You mean that kind of misinformation? Or how about this? Hiding the fact that the Israeli Air Force decimated the USS Liberty for 2.5 hours, killing 34 U.S. servicemen and severely injuring 171. Or maybe you mean misinformation like weapons of mass destruction by mainstream media. You mean that kind of misinformation, Mark?
Then we take that down. We don't allow that on Facebook at all. So
then you'd be taking a whole lot of mainstream media content down, but you don't. Why? Because guys like you work together for the common cause of protecting the bankers.
For example, some people are trying to spread these complete hoaxes like, if you want to cure coronavirus, drink bleach, right? Obviously, that's that's a disaster, that's false, and that's dangerous. So, if someone tries to share that, we'll just take that down.
It's interesting that he couldn't come up with a better example, like if you want to really cure CV, turn off your TV and stop listening to the Zuckerbergs of the world.
And there have been a lot of pieces of content like that we've taken down. There are also other misinformation that may not lead to imminent risk of physical harm, but still isn't the type of stuff we want to be spreading through our system. And there we work with independent fact checkers. And so far during this crisis, those fact checkers have marked 4,000 pieces of content, individual articles false, which has led to us showing warning labels to more than 40 million times across our products when people come across something that's false. And the warning labels work. We know that because 95% of the time when someone sees a piece of information that has a fact check on it, they don't go through and consume that information. So,
in other words, these fact checkers are busy little SS Gestapo bees buzzing around and taking down content that doesn't agree with the mainstream media narrative. If you haven't figured it out by now, what they're protecting you from is truth. And I don't believe for a second this 95% nonsense. I think he pulled that number out of his Zuckerberg. If you happen to see a Facebook warning label on something, it's highly likely that you're flying right over the target. Facebook's little warning sign should be seen as a green light that you're headed in the right direction.
I think that overall, both of these sides of the equation, the showing authoritative information and limiting the spread of misinformation, are incredibly important, especially so during a health crisis. And a lot of work has gone into this. We've gotten a lot better at this over the last few years as a company, and I'm really proud of the way that the team is working on this.
You're also working on building disease prevention maps. And can you just explain, using all the data that you have access to, can you explain how that works and what it might be able to show and help people with?
Sure. I think that this is going to be potentially a very important tool for governments and public health officials. So what we're doing is we're running a widespread survey across Facebook, asking people what kind of symptoms they're feeling. Do you feel a fever? Do you have a cough? Shortness of breath? Have you lost your sense of smell? And by asking those questions, and basically we're working with academics at Carnegie Mellon University to start. So all the information goes to them. We're not collecting health information about people.
And guys, Mark doesn't lie. You can trust him. There's no way your information is going to get into a database. Just like there's no way you're going to get a knock on your door if you answer one of these Facebook surveys like a mindless lemming. Talk about an open door to get your kids taken away.
But through this survey, we're then able to produce a county-by-county map across the country of the prevalence of disease and people with symptoms. And I think that this is just going to be quite valuable for local governments and health officials to get a sense of what's happening in their area and what's about to happen, because people report feeling symptoms days before they would actually feel like they need to go get tested or would show up in the hospital or develop some of the more severe side effects of COVID.
And just in case the picture isn't materializing for you, Zuckerberg is using his platform to get people to tell on themselves. Governments are then alerted and action is taken against those people, where the likelihood that they'll be whisked away and their families separated goes through the roof.
So this can help give people a leading indicator of what's happening, which can help plan the near-term public health response, help allocate scarce resources, whether it's masks or ventilators. But then over the coming weeks and months, it'll also help local governments figure out how they should be opening up their when it's going to be safe to start opening and having people come back into society, or if something starts going wrong and there's a recurrence, when they might need to restrict things further again until it gets back under control.
Control. Remember that. It's all about control. Facebook might as well be called Fedbook because it gives the government more authoritarian controls. I'll leave the link to the entire CNN video for you in the description and in the pinned comment. If you guys enjoy these videos, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification icon, give them a thumbs up, share them with everybody you know, and don't forget to subscribe to my private email list through my website, highimpactflix.com. I'll see you guys in the next heavily censored shadow ban video.